Hello everyone, this is Christian Melodexaton Interactive, and in this video we're going to start off with changing the way that we're defining the animation classes. It was all cool and all to explicitly specify them, then pass that to JavaScript, but it's a lot of work and I'm not about to do that for every animation that we create. So we'll convert to using a more convention-based approach for animations. Once that's done, we will update our application so that we can animate in and out in the X direction, depending on where we are within the application. And we'll finish up with a little bit of cleanup related to the animation itself. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started here. So if you remember when we first did the animations, I thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool? We'll just define all of the animation classes explicitly. We'll use them in the CSS, and then we'll pass that to JavaScript and use them there. It's all well and good, but this thing consists of, what, 2, 4, 6, 8 different entries in here for 2 different animations. And we're now about to add a few more. And I couldn't be bothered with typing all of this stuff in anymore. It's for the birds here. So what we're going to do is, instead of explicitly specifying them, we're going to turn to a more convention-based approach. So what I'm going to do is specify sort of the base class for each of the animations, and then we'll have these functions that apply the appropriate, I guess, suffix to them. And for active, so dash active, after, before, so on and so forth. Save that. Everything complains over there now. So if we go into fade, so in fade what we were doing is basically we just copy these in instead of typing this stuff in. So we were basically saying input this variable. So instead of having the variable explicit, what we're going to do is to say there is a variable called fade in, pass that into the active, and then put the result there. All right, and we'll do the same thing for fade out. No extra spaces. Okay, so now those classes and everything are taken care of in the CSS side, but if you're paying attention down there in the browser, we of course now have problems in JavaScript world. So one of the reasons that I'm still going to specify sort of the base class in this one file is that when I add more, just to be sure, I can have them open sort of side by side. So this thing, animation classes, there's nothing being passed in anymore, so let's go ahead and delete that. While we're in a deleting mood, we are not going to need this get CSS class method anymore. So the problem that we have now is we need these. So instead of this, these are just going to be these things from over there. So fade dash in, and this one fade dash out. Perfect. We're getting there. So now we just need to update these 3 things here. So what we'll end up with is, instead of this call here, we just do whatever the animation is, dash wherever we are, and this one is active, and this one is after. Save that. So now if we refresh, we'll see everything is animating correctly and everything's working. Great. Great. So, and the first thing we're going to do is open the file up that I just closed. So in the animation classes now, what I'm going to do is, or what we're going to do is create some new animations. In this case, they're translate animations. And let's just copy these in. So we're going to do translate in and out for left, and in and out for the right. Same deal with just creating the names. So now that we have names for them, we need to create a new file. So new file, animation translate.sass. And just as before, we import in both the classes and the options. I'm not going to type these. We'll just copy and paste stuff and talk a little bit about them, right? So we need the keyframes. So keyframes translate in from the left. So we'll take translate of minus 100% down to 0. So, and then we also have translate in from the right. Same deal though. So in from the right is from 100% down to 0. Let's do them both at the same time now. It's pretty easy to guess what's going on next. So the outs just go from 0 to minus 100 for the left and plus 100 from the right. So we have all of the keyframes specified. Let's create our helper method, which takes care of being able to import all of the keyframes at once. Now we have to specify the classes for everything. So when we translate in from the left, active translate in from the left, all we do is use the translate in from left animation and pass in the usual options. And when you're after, since we're translating in, it should be 0. Before starts at minus 100. Same pattern for translate in from the right, though we after at 0 and before at 100% and translate in from the right. So since we've gathered in the patterns, we now have translate out to the left, and after is a minus 100, 0. Out to the right, after is a minus or is positive 100 and 0. Of course, the code for all of these things are in the article, so you can just copy and paste those instead of typing it all. All right, so that boring part there is done. What we now need to do, though, is on our animation.sas file, we want to import in animation translate. We need the keyframes at include animation keyframes translate, and we also need the classes at include classes translate duration and easing. Save it. Failed because I copied or had typed it in myself as opposed to copying. What did I miss? Gobbledygook. No animation class translate animation translate. What do you got going on here? Oh, it's because I forgot. So we need the helper method that exports all of the classes. Read the notes. All right, so we have the CSS side of things all worked out. Stop. I need to fix that. I'm tired of that thing opening. And what we need, though, is some new animation types, right? Let's just copy these bad boys in here. So the various translate options, and in order to make them work, what we need then, besides saving, is going to our animatable item and updating our map. And the map just consists of us saying translate is the appropriate classes. All right, so that concludes the copy and paste portion. So let's go into the router outlet. So routing. And right now all we're doing is fading out and fading in, right? So let's just, for the moment, just to see that it's working, we will translate out to the left, and when we come back in, we will translate in from the right. Save that. We're going to refresh it just for good measure. So So out to the left, in from the right, out left and right. Perfect. So merry-go-round. All right. First up, we're going to add a little bit of structure to it so we can go out left, in right, or out right, in left, depending on where we are relative, where we are going, what route we're going relative to where we're coming from. In order to do that, we're going to start with the route entry and add a new idea to it, which is the parent. So the parent is a route entry or null. So private read-only parent route entry or null. And so we're going to come down to our constructor, of course, parent config.parent. Great. Route entry almost done. Since we're here, we're going to need to know is public is child of, and give me an entry. And I will tell you if this current one is a child of it by saying this dot parent is equal to entry. Now route entry is done. We go into our routing service. Of course, we have some errors. So inside of home, the parent is going to be null. It's the root of it, root of everything. And here, parent is home. So we'll save that. Nothing has changed for the moment. And so now back to our router outlet. And what we need is, what do we need? In animation. So let's make a new data property, private in animation. And that's animation types. We'll start off at none. Perfect. And this is where we're doing some animations. So let's just say const from is this dot routing service dot current. So based on the from here, what we'll do is we'll say if from dot is child of, if it's a child of where we're going, do something. Else if this dot to entry is a child of from, do something else. Else do the last thing here. Let's go ahead and cut that. Paste, paste, and paste. So if the from, so where we are now, is a child of where we are going to, we are going to translate out to the right. Translate out to the left in the other case. In the last case, we will just do the fade out. So that would take care of the animating out part of things, but we need to deal with the in, and that we do in animation, and that's going to be equal to animation types. And excuse me. We went out to the right, so let's do in from the left, right? And we'll copy that. Paste, paste. This one's going to be fade in and in from the right. All right, so when our animation is complete, we're going to animate in. This time though, we're going to say that this is just this dot in animation. And while we're at it, we'll just set this to in animation equals animation types dot none. Save that. I'll refresh just in case. So now we're on the about. We go out to the right, in from the left, and to go to about, out to the left, in from the right. So we're doing a little bit more natural what we expect to happen on animating sort of views in and out. Gives you an idea of the hierarchy of the application. So the one thing though that's happening, if you've paid attention to me clicking these little buttons here, is that if you look at the bottom of the screen there, you'll see, maybe not, I don't know, that the horizontal scroll bar is coming into view during the animation, and I do not like that. Of course, you wouldn't notice it in a mobile browser, but I don't like it at all. So we're going to do some fixing for that. So the first thing that we're going to do is come up to this template. I realized in a previous video that I misspelled this route. Should have been router. Didn't really need it, I guess. Otherwise, I would have noticed, right? So in this case, though, what we're going to do is wrap our animatable item in a div. It's going to be the router view class, and we're going to v-bind to it, and we're going to bind to a class, and that class, we're going to specify the class is animating, and we're going to put that class on there if is animating is true, something we have to add in a minute. Let's indent all of this and change the class name for this to be router view animatable. The rest of it can stay the same. Since we're talking classes here, let's do some changes at the bottom here. So we have our router view, leave the height alone. Now we say and.is-animating. And if that's true, we just say overflow in the X hidden. And now we'll come down, router view animatable. Are all these heights 100% required? I do not know. We'll see here in a video or two when we start dealing more with the structure of the pages or of the application. But now we can return to the class definition here. And we have now a need for animating out. Oh, that's in alphabetical order. So private is animating in, and we're going to default to false on that one. So we need our is animating. We'll use a computed property or computed, what do they call it? I guess computer property for that. Get is animating. All we'll do is just return this dot is animating in or this dot is animating out. Perfect. So the last thing that we need to make this work is down here in the animation complete method. So at the top of it, we are going to make another if this dot is animating in. Then what we'll say is that this dot is animating in equals false. So I want to do it before I make a return. So of course, when we do the animation, it animates out. So animation complete gets called when the out is done. So at that point in time, this is still is animating in as false. So we go all the way through. Is animating out as true. So it gets set to false. Then we do routing, blah, 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 blah. And we also then need to, I don't know where I put it, as good as any, is animating in is now equal to true. So when that completes, it'll come around and get set to false. So let's save that. Good measure refresh. So if I animate, we can now see that the horizontal scroll bar is not being showed during the animation. So we're a lot happier now. So in this video, we've taken care of, I guess, creating or changing the way that we're doing the definition or defining of our animation classes. Instead of being explicit about it, we're doing it conventionalized. We've then created a new set of animations for translating in the X direction, and we've now used them to conditionally within our application depending on where our routes are and where we're going compared to where we are. In the next video, what do we do in the next one here? I don't know yet. I haven't decided yet, I guess. So, but I guess we'll have to wait until then. Until then, I will talk to you later. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. I know that your time is valuable. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and click the thumbs up button, as well as share the video with your friends. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. And once again, thank you, and I will talk to you in the next video.